Sumi?
Yeah, Giri, a great question. I think the way in which the story played out in auto OEMs like Maruti and Hero Motors, etc., that same story is going to play out in auto ancillary companies as well. So in auto ancillary companies, again, those second tier companies are having global tie-ups. So if I pick up an SSWL, Steel Strip Wheels, it is having a tie-up with Culling. You have Minda Industries, which has got tie-ups with multiple global technology providers. So all those auto ancillary companies are entering the stage of technology tie-ups in the world. And that's where, again, big multi-bagger opportunities will come in. If I talk about Motherson Sumi in particular, I think it has got too much of diversification across geographies, and the user industries again is taking a backseat. There are also some questions which come in terms of the financials for the company. So Motherson Sumi, to my mind, has already had a great run up. I think it has had its best days behind us. It could be a market performer from here on, but Motherson Sumi, to my thought, is not something which will deliver the kind of returns that it has done in the past. We can
Right.
perhaps look at some tier 2, tier 3 companies which can do very well. So for me, Motherson Sumi is a market performer and other companies can be a big win.
Okay. The next
Yeah.
question is coming from Vishal Bhatia. He's asking on the Vodafone idea that can reach the dividend paying shares in next 5 years.
Uh, yeah, Vishal, Vodafone Idea is a great business. The number of companies in the industry has really shrunk right now. I would consider Vodafone Idea as more of a call option. So I would try to take my bet as an option trade. In option trade, either you make huge amount of returns or you kind of, let go of the premium that you are paying. So exactly put across, I think Vodafone is completely trading at that option pricing. The way in which market is positioned and Reliance and Bharti have the kind of bandwidth of finance, they will have an upper hand versus Vodafone as a company. Vodafone, the promoters are not as strong as Bharti as well as Reliance. Plus, they do not have any other assets to encash also. So it can be an option trade. Either you will make 3x, 5x of return over a period of time if they are surviving and the ARPUs are getting increased from the telecom providers, or else it could be a big risk as well. So it's a high risk trade is what I would put it for Vodafone Idea.
Sir, what is your thought on Bharti Airtel? Because recently I have seen or we have seen the corrections on the Bharti after launching the postpaid plan of Reliance Jio. So, just 2 3 lines on Bharti Airtel.
See, Bharti will be a player in the industry. It will not be something which will be a monopoly of Reliance Jio, but it will survive depending on the whims and fancies of Reliance industry. So if Reliance Jio will be the guy who will take the call in terms of how much market share and how much pricing are they willing to let go of. So that
Okay.
will decide the fortunes for Bharti more than Bharti independently on its own. So that is how it will perform in the market as well.
Well, rightly said, sir. So, next question is again from Giri Malpani. In reference to what you said about Nippon, some of the Japanese companies have underperformed financially because of redundant complete governance and board structures. So, he's asking on the compliance and the company needs to shape themselves into startup formats which quick and agile decision making process to arrive at any output.
Yeah, Giri, if I touch upon the corporate governance of Japanese company and if I touch upon for Nippon, so Nippon, they have bought a stake and I could interact with the Japanese representative for Nippon India as well. And currently, clearly the Japanese mandate is to work on corporate governance in the Indian company and risk management. So they are aligning with the global counterparts to bring about corporate governance and risk management in the Indian company. The thought process for Nippon India is that there is ample or huge amount of excess liquidity in the world markets. And if Nippon India is able to provide a dollar denominated positive return of even 1% or 1.5%, then globally liquidity is lying at negative rate of return. So if Nippon India, by just parking it in treasury bond, etc., is giving 1% return, easily 10, 20, $30 billion can flow in by the network of Nippon in the world. So if that flow of money comes into Nippon India mutual fund, then Nippon India's AUM here can become 2x or 3x by just launch of one product. And that expertise for Nippon India Mutual Fund is not available to any other AMC in the country. So if you talk about HDFC AMC or you talk about UTI AMC, both of them do not have the global reach to raise funds like what Nippon India can. So the Japanese
Right.
counterpart can bring in money provided the issue of corporate governance and risk management is handled tactfully and gracefully in this company. So the management is working on it. They need time, let's say about, because this was something in January, February they started, then the pandemic set in. And once this entire lockdown, pandemic, everything gets over, the management is going to work on it. So maybe FY22 we can see such an event happen, and then the stock will also get rewarded in the markets as well. So that is the thought process about Japanese companies here in India. And Nippon, if I talk about in particular, that's one which is bigger than LIC in Japan itself, and there we do not have any corporate governance. The management is impeccable. It's a general thought process that corporate governance of Japanese companies are not so great, but those examples are there everywhere in the world, and I think Nippon is having great quality standards of corporate governance as such. So I would not be unduly worried about.
Thanks for your answer, sir. So, if anyone wants to ask any question, please ask me on the question box. Meanwhile, I will just do the recap of the show. So today we have again, I will just recap this. See, we have understood the secrets of stock picking, and we have understood the secret of picking up the multi-bagger stocks. And second point, we have discussed on the management of that companies, and third we have discussed on the industry life cycle of that companies, and after that we have understood the competition of that sector, and after that we have understood about the concentrated bets and the diversification of that कैसे करना चाहिए. Now the next point which is coming in my mind, ये stock हमने identify कर लिया, but understanding the value of stock versus price of a stock, this is again very interesting and very promising subject which I am going to take next Sunday 11:30 on 4th of October with Sunil Shah. Thanks Sunil ji. If I will just see, one question is coming. 1 second.
Sure.
Can we see Sensex touching 50,000 by 2024? So it's a very simple question.
It's a very simple question to ask. It's a very difficult question to answer. So, yeah, Rishi. So, question, I think last episode I had touched upon and I had spoken about Sensex levels. And I had also spoken that, it is just impossible to give a target of Sensex. But what one can do is to look at the Sensex numbers and take that call. So, if in the year 2022, if we reach a number of Sensex of 54,000, maybe it is time to call it quits from the market, because the best of the situation and the environment will be built in the price.
Right.
So my friend is asking me the target. I would request you to just go back and look at my explanation of the last episode where I have answered that. But just to recap it and just tell you, giving a target is honestly fooling yourself and fooling the listeners. I think in the equity market, of my experience of 27 years, one thing which I can clearly say is that giving target is just impossible. Just imagine in the month of January, somebody had given a target for Sensex for December. And look at how things have evolved from February, March itself, right? So let us not fool ourselves. We cannot give targets. All we can do is decide that at this number, whether we are cheap or expensive. So if we are at 36,000 levels on the Sensex, and if I look at 2022, I think the low end of the Sensex should be at 38,000. So we are buying at the low end of this levels of 36,000. And if still the market corrects, one can go and add more. But so accumulation in that low end is always advisable, and selling at the high end is advisable. So what is the high end? The high end is 54,000 on the Sensex for the year 2022. So if at all we reach the number, again I'm not giving a target, if we reach that number, please go and sell, because at 54,000, if we reach that number, there will be so much of euphoria. People would want to, go and buy everything in the market. People would give more money. Matlab, everybody will be a fund manager. There will be no advice which will be required. And we have seen it. I have seen it 5 times, 6 times in my life. Such things happen. But more prudent is to sell at that levels, and also when the market is at the low levels, go and buy. So it's not a target which I can give, but it's a number. If it reaches, please sell. And if you are buying now, you are buying at the low end of 2022. So 2 years point of view, you are buying at the low end with not much of risk in the prices. I think that's the answer, Rishi.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your answer. I will once again check if any further questions are there. I think we have covered all the questions. Guys, if you want to ask any questions, please feel free to ask me on the question box right now. I am available for you to answer, to make your life easy. Please ask if you have any questions. I will wait for 30 more seconds, and after that I will wind up the show.
Yeah, Rishi, good questions have come. So good to know, and I'm very happy to share my experience and my knowledge with all of you.
That's why you are here, sir, because your 27 years of experience definitely would like to leverage on that part.
Sure. So it's time I go back and give back to people, because I feel there is a huge vacuum to understand markets and to understand in the right sense. I think that is something which is very critical.
Wow. Last point which is coming from Vishal, that it was such great show that my life has become easy now. So Vishal, would you like to come live and would you like to give thanks to Sunilji? I welcome you to show your face live on our show. If you can come, please give me the request. I can accept. And even if you have any more questions, we are here to answer your questions.
Yeah, it's a great honor to get such a compliment.
Right.
And it's good, Rishi. Great job from your side as well to have.
No, because you have given the right answer. Because he was asking about the Sensex target, and you have explained in 2024 50,000 hoga, yeah, what we have to understand. I think that understanding of markets and with your experience coming in, I think that has given you the compliment. So that's why Vishal is saying that my life has become easy now. So he has understood what you told.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very important. Life is easy. We make it complicated. The more easy and simple we keep, nobody can even touch us. I think that is one important point to realize. It's actually beautiful and simple. Just we have to live like that. That's my thought process.
Starting and ending with simplicity, because I have started that simplicity has a way of improving performance by enabling us to better understand what we are doing. And starting and ending अगर same thought process के साथ में हो जाए तो फिर उससे अच्छा क्या चाहिए सर?
Absolutely, Rishi. Great. It was nice interacting with all of you. It was a good session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much your time on Sunday mornings. Once again, thank you Sunilji, and thanks all the viewers to coming and attending this show. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you everybody. Thanks.